Linda's dream was lit. She rode a giant maple leaf through downtown Toronto, tossing journal pages like confetti. Waking 4:17 a.m., she clutched her leather notebook, still smelling of that quirky Kensington market shop. Ridiculous? Maybe. But her 50-year-old heart thrummed with something reckless. What if she started a virtual journaling circle for women like her, ones who missed chaos of packed lunches and lost mittens? Community centers had yoga, but nobody talked about how silence after kids leave could echo louder than a hockey arena. She opened. Linda's fingers traced cracked leather binding on her old notebook, same one she'd used to track soccer practices and science fair deadlines back when her house hummed with chaos. Now, silence pressed against her ribs like a forgotten winter coat. She fumbled opening it, pen rolling off knees still trained to brace for phantom crumbs. 50 felt less like a milestone and more like tripping over her own shadow. Toronto's community center flyer had promised virtual, which sounded suspiciously like group therapy with better branding. Yet that first login surprised her, faces glowing on screen, women laughing about rogue chin hairs and rediscovering hip joints. Linda's first entry was a mess of crossed-out words, but one sentence stuck: grief isn't a hollow tree, it's sap waiting to become syrup. She began stealing moments, scribbling by fogged bathroom mirrors after showers, tapping notes into her phone while waiting for streetcar lights to change. Memories surfaced sharp as lemon zest, her daughter's sticky hands pressing dandelions into that very notebook, now cradling quieter truths. By week 3, Linda caught herself grinning a grocery clerk's joke, her laugh unfamiliar but lit from within. Notebook's spine creaked with new life, pages swollen with grocery lists and gratitude, ink bleeding through like roots finding cracks in pavement. Some mornings, she still reached for cereal boxes no longer there. But her pen kept moving, turning absence into something with weight, texture, something she could hold without breaking. Linda's fingers traced cracked leather binding on that notebook, same one she'd shoved in a drawer after youngest left for university. But tonight, maple-scented candle flickering beside her, she cracked it open. First entry was shaky, mistripping over hockey gear in hallway. Then, a rogue maple leaf fell from between pages, crisp as autumn air outside her Toronto walk-up. 50-year-old lungs exhaled stale loneliness. Community center ed caught her eye next morning, virtual journaling circle, no experience, just heart. She clicked so fast her cat, Mr. Paws, levitated off couch. Screen blinked to life revealing Marjorie, 72, a retired librarian with neon pink glasses who called journaling soul compost. Woman snorted tea through her nose. First session was clunky. Creator kept erasing words until Marjorie barked, "Stop treating feelings like typos." So she scribbled raw memories, teaching kids to skate on frozen ponds, burnt pancakes on Mother's Day, that one disastrous camping trip where they forgot tent poles. Notebook became less scrapbook, more excavation site. Leather softened under her grip, edges frayed like well-loved jeans. By week 3, Linda's entries grew wings. She wrote about rediscovering salsa classes that little basement studio near Kensington Market, how her hips remembered rhythms even if her knees protested. Marjorie assigned homework, describe a joy so small it's almost invisible. Woman spent an hour marveling steam curling off her morning chai. Then came twist, Marjorie's group was hosting live showcase local bookstore. "You're reading yours," she declared. Linda's stomach dropped like she'd missed bottom step. But night of event, she stood under twinkle lights clutching notebook, its spine warm against her palm. She read about how grief and gratitude could coil together like twin vines, how empty rooms echoed but also amplified new music. After, a silver-haired woman tapped her shoulder, "Your words just gave me courage to sign up for pottery class." Walking home, Linda spotted first snow-dusting maple branches. She grinned, tucking notebook underarm like it held not just stories, but seeds. Linda's fingers traced cracked leather binding, that stubborn notebook refusing to fall apart despite years stuffed in purses or forgotten under couch cushions. 50 years old and she still couldn't keep a journal longer than 3 entries. But this time felt different. That wild dream, riding a maple leaf big enough to blot out Toronto's skyline, had jolted her awake laughing. Ridiculous, sure, but lit in a way her empty house hadn't been since Jake left for university. Community center flyers had promised virtual, some online circle of strangers typing out their midlife messes. Linda scoffed first. Her last attempt group therapy ended with her sneaking out fire exits. Yet here she was, clicking join meeting with same stubborn push she'd used to assemble IKEA shelves solo after her divorce. Screen glowing, she hesitated. What if her words came out all wrong? What if she was just another sad empty nester cliché? But then, finger smudges on keys, one shaky sentence, today I miss noise. No backspace. No apologies. Weeks stacked up like mismatched coffee mugs. Some entries were raw, why does silence sound like failure? Others carried dry humor, note to self, do not Google, menopausal women turning into trees, notebook grew fatter, corners dog-eared where she'd scribbled grocery lists over epiphanies. Virtual circle became her compass. Not therapy, not confessional, just witnesses. A retired teacher from Arizona wrote about her cactus surviving a drought. Linda's reply, maybe we're all prickly plants waiting for rain. Leather held her fight now. Not against loneliness, but for right to name it without shame. She filled pages with sidewalk cracks shaped like her son's childhood laugh, recipes she'd never cook for two again, even that time she got lost in High Park and found a bench with MOM was here carved deep. By winter's first snow, Linda didn't flinch when wind howled through her porch. Notebook tucked underarm, she walked toward community center, real this time, where a sign read writing your next chapter. Dry leaves crunched under boots. 50 felt less like an ending and more like ink bleeding fresh. Linda's fingers traced worn edges of her leather notebook, its pages filled with ink-stained confessions and maple syrup dreams. 50 years young, she'd spent weeks scribbling away heartache over silent hallways now that her kids had flown. But tonight, that notebook wasn't just her lifeline, it was a mic drop waiting to happen. Community center buzzed with skeptics and seekers, half crowd side-eyeing her workshop flyer like it was a suspicious casserole. One woman, arms crossed, muttered something about midlife scrapbooking, creator caught it, grinned, then flipped open her notebook with a flick of her wrist. Bet you $5 I make you cry, she thought, sly. She didn't just read entries, she performed them. Voice cracking as she described dancing alone in her son's bedroom, laughing as she confessed to eating ice cream straight from tub while watching Golden Girls reruns. Crowd leaned in. Even skeptic lady uncrossed her arms. Then she dropped twist, turns out, grief's just love with nowhere to go. So I gave it a map. She held up her notebook, dog-eared, coffee-stained, glorious. This is my rebellion. Someone in back snapped a pic. By morning, rebel journaling trended locally. Linda's inbox flooded with requests, librarians, yoga studios, even a skeptical daughter-in-law asking for tips. Best part? Skeptic lady cornered her after, eyes shiny. My husband's been gone 2 years, she whispered. Guess I need a notebook. Walking home, Linda kicked a pile of autumn leaves, chuckling how life could flip like a pancake. That leather-bound beast in her bag had been her secret, then her shield, now her spotlight. Wind carried away last whispers of doubt as she thought, I'm writing my own damn story. And oh, was it lit? Linda's dream was lit. She rode a giant maple, its crimson leaves whispering secrets only midlife women with leather notebooks could decode. Back in Toronto, that wild vision became her compass. No longer drowning in empty nest silence, she scribbled fury, joy, and weird cravings, suddenly, pickles and jazzercise, into weathered pages. That notebook, once stiff as her old routine, softened with every confession, its spine cracking open like her heart. She didn't stop there. Linda launched a virtual journaling circle, Maple Ink, from her local community center's dusty back room. Screen by screen, women from Boise to Boca logged on, widows, CEOs, a retired clown named Marge, all hungry for renewal. They traded prompts like, what's your 3 a.m. truth, and, draw your future as a pizza topping. Linda's was extra cheese, obviously. Laughter bubbled through pixels, grief lost its chokehold. By 55, she'd turned her quirks into a superpower, guiding others to mine their messy middles for gold. That leather notebook. Now a relic displayed center workshops, its coffee stains proof that healing isn't pretty, it's alive. Grab a pen, your next chapter's itching to be written.